One of the most irritating songs of the last decade, in my opinion, is Who Let the Dogs Out? Followed closely in second place by What Did the Fox Say? But Who Let the Dogs wins my vote. Now, I'm not doing a theological or psychological or sociological response to what these artists had as they tried to say something in their mindless songs, but I find that there are just some songs that grate on me. You see, I really don't care who let the dogs out, nor do I care what the fox say. I also realize that in every age, it seems to have its own irritating song list, whether it's the one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater, or mares eat dotes and does eat dotes, and little lambs eat ivy, or hutsut rots on the rah, and so on, so on, so on. Maybe it has to do with the generation gap, because I know that the minuet was considered scandalous by an older generation, and so it's been going on for centuries. Generation after generation seem to oppose different things and have different attitudes. And what one generation thinks about the antics of another has always caused criticism and disgust in an older generation. And there isn't one of us here who hasn't been a part of that also. We hear it, it bothers us, and yet there's also a grudging appreciation for the untamed exuberance of youth and inexperience. And so looking at that picture, who let the dogs in? Kind of got a different feel when you know why they're there and what's been going on. In this particular passage, we find some of those assumptions and attitudes that affected even Jesus in his ministry. As we reach this particular passage of Scripture, as I said, Jesus has been besieged by the crowds and retreats to the region of Tyre to get away. Just a little respite from all that's been going on. He's kind of tired of the paparazzi who've been following him day and night. And even here in Tyre, he is unable to escape being noticed. And even more startling is the fact that what he attracts is a woman who has a daughter with an evil spirit. She comes to the house where he is and bows down before him and begs him to cast out the demon from her daughter. And Mark reveals to us that the woman is a Gentile, a Syrophoenician. She's not even Jewish, and she has invaded a Jewish household. And Jesus' response to this woman is rather harsh. Let the children be fed first, for it is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs. You need to realize that Jesus has just equated this woman to a dog, someone not welcomed in the house. And yet it was a very common attitude of the Jews when thinking about the Gentiles. He's practically saying, who let the dogs in? But the woman immediately comes back at him. Sir, even the dogs are allowed under the table to eat the children's crumbs. And apparently it stops Jesus and makes him think. And in response he says, for saying that, you may go. The demon has left your daughter. Jesus has his own aha moment. The ministry that he started suddenly grows in its implications. He has not only been called to provide salvation for the Jews, but even to the dogs. And I think that's why Mark puts the healing of the deaf-mute in the next passage. His friends want Jesus to lay hands on him and heal him, but Jesus takes him aside, puts his fingers in the man's ears, spits and touches the man's tongue, and then looks up to heaven and says, be open. And suddenly the man hears and speaks plainly. And then, amazing to me, Jesus tells the man and his friends, don't tell anybody. How does one keep a secret like that a secret? Here's a man who's been a deaf and a mute, and you're not supposed to tell anybody? Maybe somebody might notice that he hears and speaks well. And they go around saying, look what incredible things he's done. He even makes the deaf to hear and the mute to speak. And the Syrophoenician woman has done the same thing for Jesus. His eyes have been opened in a new way, and suddenly he realizes that the Gentiles are welcomed into the ministry that he has started. They've moved from dogs to children, and all have become eligible to come and eat at the table of the Master. Her daughter, the woman, the deaf and dumb man, and us. We are all welcome at his table forever and ever. Let us prepare ourselves to share the elements of bread and wine as we celebrate the Lord's Supper.